Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to dreams, REM sleep, and sleep paralysis, how they affect our brains and health. This was a request. If you have a request, please the title, the YouTube channel, and the length of the video. That way you can search for it and find it. It's like, hey, this is the title. It matches the YouTube name and the length. Because if you leave the link of it in the chat, YouTube might put it for held for review, and I don't see it. It might not even come up on my email either. And I think because a lot of people are starting to spam websites and links to their channel, that YouTube is kind of flagging all of that. So just to be on the safe side, just put title, blah blah blah, our YouTube channel, blah blah blah, and then the link, blah blah blah, and then go to the next line for the next thing. Anyways, I don't know anything about this, although I think the reason why this was a request is because I always state that, well, actually, I think my idea or my belief is that a duality world where we are in fact in the brain itself, probably the frontal cortex. But anyways, we're going to get started.
My name is Sanjay Singh, and I'm the director of the Neurological Institute here at CHI Health. I'm also the chairman and professor of neurology at Creighton University School of Medicine.
Okay, just make sure it's turned up all the way. It's kind of a little low. What happens in the brain as we sleep, and why is sleep important? Okay, so my knowledge of this is the brain, when you're asleep, puts a lot of your short-term memory into long-term memory. It hardens those, the connections of your brain, your memories. Every time you create a new memory, your brain kind of creates this connection, and if it doesn't, if the brain doesn't, how do I say, harden it, the connection, to make sure it's stable, you will forget about it, and that connection will be lost. And during the deep sleep, or during your sleep, probably in the deep sleep, that's when it happens. That's the reason why I believe you have dreams, is because your brain is, I guess, hardening. I don't know what to call it really, but hardening those connections, reaffirming those connections by electrical signals. And whenever those electrical signals get activated, that's when your memory occurs. And that's the reason I believe, in a way, that you have memories, maybe, or dreams. I'm sorry, dreams.
It's kind of a mystery because till a few years ago,
Yeah.
we really had no idea why you sleep. And you sleep for 1/3 of your lifespan. So 1/3 of your life you're sleeping, and we did not have a clue why you slept. We did know that if you kept animals awake and did not let them sleep, they did not live. But we still had no idea why you were sleeping. Now, in the last 3 to 5 years, we've learned a little bit more. So we've learned that during your sleep, your brain actually washes away all the toxins from your brain. And that is why, if there are sleep disturbances, there are lots of neurological problems that can occur with it, like stroke or dementia and other things. But this is all things that we have learned in the last 3 to 5 years. We also know that your memory gets consolidated during your sleep. But there has to be a lot more than just these two. But these are the two things that we have learned very recently.
I didn't know about the washing of toxins in the brain. I did know about your memory becoming, I don't know, hardened. I call it hardened just because I imagine it like a string connection. And if that string's not strong enough, it'll snap, and then that memory will be lost. Or you won't remember it. There's a lot of things that happens throughout the day that you don't care to remember because they're not really all that important. But as you continue to try to remember it, I guess it becomes stronger and stronger to where it doesn't break. You remember it quite well. And the fact about, like, why do we need sleep? And I remember that being asked a long time ago when I was watching a video, and I thought it's like, oh, just to recharge your batteries. It's like, no, you need that for food. I'm like, I remember a video watching that. It's like, yeah, you need to recharge your batteries. And said, no, you eat food to recharge your batteries. I'm like, oh snap, you're right. Why do we need sleep? And I did watch some of those videos, and that's how I learned about memory. But other than that, I don't really know much more than why we need sleep.
About why you sleep.
What is stages of sleep, and what is REM sleep?
When you're sleeping, your brain is still very active. And there are these 4 stages of sleep. So there's stage 1 and stage 2, which is light sleep, stage 3, which is deep sleep. And then the fourth and the most interesting part of sleep, which is called REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, which is your eyes are jiggling under your eyelids while you're sleeping. That is generally the dream phase of your sleep. But if you look at how active your brain is pretty active for stage 1, stage 2 sleep, and
Hmm.
in REM sleep. It may be a little less active during stage 3 sleep.
How much sleep do we need, and what happens if we don't get it?
So, how much sleep
They
do we
say
need? That's a
8.
question that's often asked of me.
8 hours,
So,
usually.
you need about 7 to 9 hours of sleep for every adult human being. What happens if you don't sleep enough? So, we do know from studies that you're at higher risk for high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, and now we know neurological diseases, psychiatric illnesses, and also you're at high risk for obesity.
Well, dang, son, I think I'm gonna go crazy pretty soon. I don't get good sleep, nor enough sleep because I don't get good enough sleep.
Right? So it is very important and critical that we get enough sleep because otherwise you put yourself at risk for various kinds of medical disorders.
Does everyone dream? What happens to us when we dream? I need to pause it when these questions come up. Does everyone dream? I'm sure everyone does dream. It's a matter of whether to remember or not. It's not like you dream every day necessarily. Although I will say I'm amazed at this. That I have 2 alarms. One to wake me up early, and then one that another alarm that wakes that alarms 10 minutes after. I usually end up going to the second alarm to get up, but during the first alarm I have to get up and I turn it off and I go back to sleep and I can get right back into a dream state like within a few minutes and have like a pretty long dream and then wake up on the second alarm. And I'm usually amazed at how and even sometimes I actually can kind of lay there and not necessarily go fully asleep, but still have a dream, which is kind of weird. I don't know if that's I don't know if, because I don't think I was fully asleep. I'm kind of like laying there with my eyes closed, but somehow, and I am tired, but somehow I get a dream, but I'm not fully asleep, and I'm somewhat awake. It's really weird.
We absolutely have no idea why someone would dream, right? But it has to bestow some biological advantage, otherwise it wouldn't be happening. Right? The other question I often get is, does everyone dream? Yes, everyone does dream. So I often ask people that every single one of you has had 3 to 4 dreams last night. Right?
Whoa.
But
Whoa. Is it every day? So he's saying every day you have a dream, and 3 to 4 dreams. So just say 3 dreams on average every. Holy what? Man, I know it goes some nights without dreaming, or at least again, like I said, sometimes you have dreams, you just don't remember it. Because I usually wake up, I'm like, oh man, I know I had a dream, but I just don't remember it at all. I've never woken up thinking, I didn't I mean, no, I do remember waking up saying I never had a dream. That could be because I just don't have a good bed or something, I don't know.
you will not remember them. And the reason for that is that as you move out of this REM sleep, the rapid eye movement sleep phase, you forget your dream. The other interesting thing that happens when you're dreaming is that your entire body, your arms, your legs are paralyzed.
Oh yeah.
And that is important because then you don't act out your dreams. Right? Now, that is fascinating by itself, that every night, every human being is being paralyzed 3 or 4 times. Right? And then you regain all your power and strength back as you.
I will say, I'm sure everyone knows about this, but about like some people who wake up and they're awake, fully awake, but they can't move their body. I've never had that happen to me. And I could only imagine that being so terrifying, that you're awake and aware, you're looking around and you can't move. Oh man, I don't know what that's like. I hope to never ever find out, but I mean, I don't know if I'm a light sleeper or not, because I can hear when people. I'm not generally a light sleeper, but somehow sometimes I am. It's because probably I have a terrible bed, but yeah, whenever I hear someone, I do wake up. I'm sleeping. I hear something. I wake up and I can move my body. I could always move my body, but just Imagine you hear something in your room that wakes you up and then you can't move.
Get out of that phase. And the pathway, the neural pathway in the brain that causes this is entirely different from everything we use normally. Now, it scares some people to think that they're paralyzed 3 or 4 times every night, but that is absolutely true. And in a few people who are not paralyzed, they actually have a disorder, which we call
Yeah.
brain behavior disorder, in which they actually act out their dreams. So they can punch holes in walls and in their, and hurt their spouses if they are sleeping with them. So it is sort of an unfortunate but fascinating disorder that sometimes rarely happens in these people.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. Actually, I've heard some stories too where people actually drove to work and started working on their jobs, like doing whatever work they have at their job. It's really crazy. And I believe I've heard of a story. Again, I don't know how true that is, but I've heard of it. It seems impossible, honestly, to get out, drive your car to your work. That's like 2 hours away or 30 minutes away, and start doing your job and you're asleep. And I've heard of another story where a person is kind of like he's kind of crazy a bit, where he sets up traps in his house, and somehow he sleeps walking, he avoids these traps. And what else? I've actually seen a video, because I think everyone has cell phones now, and I believe it's between two sisters, I believe, and one sister woke up and started recording because her sister was awake staring at her in bed. And then the sister that was recording, that was scared, was like, hey, just talking to her, like, hey, stop that, stop that. And then she started screaming for her mother. Then the mother came in, turned on the light, and then you saw the sister that's staring just kind of like wake up. Was like, what's going on? That's kind of crazy. How do you study dreams further, and what are you hoping to find out? Oh, that's when he said there was some kind of evolutionary advantage of us dreaming. That's kind of weird. I never thought about a dream as an evolutionary advantage. Generally speaking, the reason why we do certain things is because it is what caused us to survive, you could say. The reason why we're prejudiced about some things is because we've learned to fear a lot of things that we don't understand or don't know, because it could kill us. That's the reason why we are prejudiced to things that we don't know or don't understand. It's not necessarily because you hate it or whatever. It's because instinctually, I'm sure things that are like not prejudice, that like just goes up to things willy-nilly, ends up dying because the things that they're going up to could potentially kill them or will kill them.
The question still remains is, why do we dream? And so that is a topic of research that we have undertaken here. And so what we are doing is we are letting people sleep, and they're being monitored with brain waves and video cameras. And then we wake them up during their first dream phase, first night, second dream phase, second night, third dream phase, the third night, to figure out what did they dream. And we have them on a video camera all day long, so we know exactly what they did. Right? So we've undertaken that research. And on the fourth night, we want to see if we can influence their dreams. Right? Because the gospel truth right now in neuroscience is that you cannot influence dreams. And that when people are dreaming, they're completely cut off from the environment.
I don't know. They're completely cut off from the environment? I mean, I don't know if I've ever just went from a dream state to straight up awake. I mean, if your alarm goes off, I'm sure that transition happens quite quickly. But I've heard that if you're I forget what it is, you put something over your eyes and it'll shine enough light into your eyes that you are awake in your dream state, and you're able to do things in your dream. Like, you're completely aware that you're dreaming and that you can do whatever you want in your dream, manifest, fly, or whatever it is. I've heard some people say that. I just don't know if that's true. And by the way, everything I say, take that with a grain of salt. Don't take it as absolute gospel or truth or anything like that. That's just merely my opinion.
But we think that may not be true, because some of us have had that experience where you get up in the morning and something's happening around you, and you're not sure whether this is happening in your dream or is it a real thing happening, right? And so that tells us that your brain's not totally cut off from the environment. And so how are we doing that? So we are having people sleep, and then by their brain waves, we know they're dreaming. They're in the REM phase. And then we sort of ring a bell, like on your smartphone. And if the person, when they wake up, they say, oh, I was walking down the street and suddenly I heard church bells ringing, right? They've internalized what we did.
Yes, that happened to me. Especially, I'm sure everyone's hopefully maybe familiar with this. Wanting to go pee. I remember waking up like, I gotta go pee, but I'm so comfortable. I'll go to sleep. And then in my dream, I'm thinking that I'm like peeing in my dream, and so far I've been lucky. I have not peed in my bed because of my dreams, or it's raining in my dreams. I'm like, yeah, and I wake up after that. I'm like, yeah, I think I should go go use the restroom.
Or if you sprinkle a few droplets of water on them, right? They say, I was walking down the street and suddenly it started raining, so they've internalized that. Similarly, we blow air on their face and they say, I'm walking down the street and suddenly it became windy. So we are trying to study dreams in a way it has never been studied before. First, to find out, why do you dream? What do you dream? And can we influence your dreams? Our long-term goal is to see if your dreams change with diseases and disorders. And by changing your dreams, can we reverse those diseases and disorders?
That's weird.
So it's a new way of looking at health
Medicine.
and disease.
Wow. I definitely gotta check out this channel because I am very fascinated with science, history, everything in general. Yeah, leave it there. I was gonna make a terrible joke about nothing. Anyways, and also again, I guess because of my belief that of a duality world where I am who I am, and where I am is in, I think, probably the frontal cortex of the brain, because I think that's where all your thoughts come from. If there are no thoughts going on, then that part of the brain is just empty, void, nothingness, which is something a lot of the wise people, wisdom people, I'll call them that, Sadhguru, Osho, Rupert, and all that, and Eckhart, and Swami, everyone basically. They say that, you know, if you empty out your thoughts, there's just nothingness, this void. And again, I've experienced that I think twice in my life, once of recently, but it's difficult to get to. My mind's just constantly thinking of a lot of things, but I think that voidness is just because you're not thinking, which is what they say. You know, you have to first separate yourself from the body, the mind, and your emotion, and then the fourth part, which is this is what Osho says, will come naturally, where you kind of separate yourself from your body and your mind and your emotion. But yes. But my thought is the fact that when you think I am, it is the frontal cortex of your brain, I believe. That's my belief anyway, so far. And it's just because it's very difficult for me to believe in the things that are untangible or not material form. Anyway, that's my opinion. But I still love. But other than that slight difference in belief, everything else is still the same. Like how they believe everyone is the same. In terms of Atman and Brahman, everyone is this one consciousness. We just think we're all separate human beings. Therefore, if you realize that we're all the same, you would want to treat yourself kindly, nicely. While I may not believe in necessarily like Atman or Brahman that we all come from one consciousness, but I still believe in the idea of that we should still treat each other kindly and nicely. I still want to watch them all because I don't know for sure about my own belief or what they're teaching, because I don't know if there's a way to find that out. So it's always going to be the I don't know there. Anyways, that's my reaction to, I don't know how I got into that. Dream, REM, sleep, and sleep paralysis, and how to affect our brains and health. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.